And now let's welcome Sara Penco, restorer and creator of the Smarticon method, Mary Magdalena in Michelangelo's Judgment.
Thank you for having invited me to this extraordinary summit. May I have the presentation, please? Thank you very much. In a world devastated by conflict and suffering, the ReArt Europe initiative emerged in provocative resonance with the ReArt Europe project, following different paths but sharing common goals. To protect and united through culture as a tool of cohesion among peoples. Culture bears witness on the history, dignity, and ethical values of every nation. Enhancing it means nurturing a powerful instrument of sharing the gathering among different cultures and religions. Italy and Europe, more than military strength, boasts a long-standing experience in the preservation and enhancement of cultural heritage. ReArt Europe aims to offer this expertise to the world so that it becomes the backbone of a community that encourages the exploration and the boundaries of a human consciousness, placing different forms of art, each with its own identity, as a connecting link of a single chain, moving towards planetary humanism. A work of art must be conceived as a whole, to be preserved as a matter, and an intangible heritage which coincides with its reason for being. Each artifact is like a discourse, thus recovering in its meanings. This process involves reconstructing every sentence correctly, verifying the syntax, and identifying as far as possible the missing parts. These goals can be achieved by enhancing access to the valuable knowledge offered by experts. Hence, the need to establish a hermeneutic framework within validated human knowledge in order to reconstruct every discourse up to its validation. In 2017, I obtained a patent for an Italian method called Smarticon, which finds its roots in the virtuous circle of knowledge. It contributes to enhance sources in wisdom by improving their accessibility and giving rise to an innovative inference system applicable to any type of artifact on a global scale. Through repetitive and methodical processes, governed by inductive, deductive, and empirical logic, information is transformed into statements. The statements form the digital information heritage that fuels a broad and diversified network of interconnection, capable and establishing reciprocal relation and correlations in recovering of lost knowledge. By applying cognitive technologies to the knowledge database, the method interacts with and supports the user in describing and integrating the iconographic attributes that characterize the artwork, up to the codification of the depicted subject. The research can then be deepened by retrieving all information related and relatable to the investigated artifact, inventories, account book, diagnostic exam, bibliographic references, image comparison, and much more. The beating heart of Smarticon is a proprietary multilingual database, constantly updated and validated by a scientific committee. Smarticon has been forged through years of targeted research to create a study method that places science at the service of knowledge. A tool designed to observe, listen to, and understand the language through which art communicates, in a space without time and boundaries. My first studies on Michelangelo's Judgment date back to 2013 and were presented to the world on the eve of the Jubilee year inauguration with the release of a volume, Mary Magdalene in Michelangelo's Judgment, published by Scripta Manent. In the text, I explain and justify the identification of Mary Magdalene among the tangle of figures crowning the judgment. Every argument is based on rigorously scientific premises and constant bibliographic references. At the first right edge of the judgment, a man supports one of the most imposing crosses in the composition. Turning in the opposite direction of the events, he seems to align with the blonde woman, full figure, entirely dressed in yellow crocus, symbolizing the capacity for discernment. The woman kisses the cross. This gesture grants her the privilege of being worthy of establishing an exclusive relationship with the ultimate symbol of Christian faith and the object of the saint's desire. Is she Mary Magdalene? The saint is the first evangelizer and the herald of the resurrection. She is the link between the cross, the burial, and the resurrection, and the bridge between Christ and humanity. She is always present in the just life, even at the moment of the Redeemer's forgiveness, which reached its highest expression with the parousia. Mary Magdalene remains steadfast in her love for Christ, which makes her strong in accepting suffering and worthy of grace. For this reason, she is the prototype of redemption and an example of righteousness even for the apostles. Her presence in the judgment assumes a spiritually powerful significance, reaffirming the message of hope implicit in the biblical narrative, which contains the promise that God's judgment on evil and every sin will be a judgment of grace. In the first evangelizer, she testified to God's love for its children, and this rule is coherent with the gospel account in which Jesus calls Mary by name, because this word encompasses the entire gospel and summarizes humanity's encounter with its bridegroom, the Redeemer. By introducing the saint figure into the judgment, Buonarroti urged us to understand that the only path to salvation is to remain steadfast in faith. At the same time, he gives his masterpiece extraordinary relevance, counterbalancing the cruelty of defeat against evil with the power of evangelization. These themes are essential in seeking the positive aspect of the fresco and crucial to make it worthy of being above the altar, precisely where the words of the ancient canon of the Mass are spoken. Save us, O Lord, from eternal damnation, and receive us into the flock of the elect. Michelangelo, a man of deep faith, interprets the hermeneutic of the Christian message and cries out to the humanity the feeling focused on the divine grace that God will grant to man for their sincere and pure faith in Christ's sacrifice and not for their merits in trivial earthly endeavors. The power of love emanating from the Last Judgment goes far beyond the boundaries of any religion, because by instrumentalizing the language of art, it reaches the souls of every inhabitant of the world, giving extraordinarily straight to the fresco reason for being, the message of evangelization for which it was commissioned and created. These themes spotlight the importance of planetary indulgence, renewed in the solemnity of the Jubilee. For this reason, the Dicastery for Evangelization granted me patronage for cultural and spiritual outreach activities to the Mary Magdalene Michelangelo's Last Judgment. Century after the judgment creation, in raw prior artifact, Mary Magdalene once again becomes the bridge between God and humanity, introducing the modern concept of science as a tool to enrich the spirit and urges humanity to remain steadfast in faith to build a better future. The Apostle of the Apostle is the most fascinating and mysterious woman in the history of Christianity. She is the bridge between immanence and transcendence, the prototype of redemption, and the witness to the message of love, because by working and redemption of sins represents the exhortation to reflect in the awareness of the sorrowful who, more than even in the image of Mary of Magdala, symbolize the weeping of humanity. Thank you very much for your attention, and excuse me for my English.